until he hits the roof. Now this is Travis, our Will Smith stuntman. So we have to paint out his head. We have Will Smith perform the role on a mocap stage. And we replace that. Having what we call actor puppets, where we create a current version of the puppet or a character that we're actually going to create a digital version of, allows us to have a lot of stunt work be replaced as well. So some of the other shots in the movie you'll see in a second. So in this one, the other thing, you gotta love Aang. We told him how expensive all this was going to be based off the number of shots that he wanted in the movie, and his answer was, fine, I'll do fewer shots. But then he did these shots that were like 2.5 minutes long. So, and 120 frames a second, that means a lot of paint work. Good on, though. Well played, sir. So in this case, it's a B-side only capture. We have Will Smith performing the role. You can see that the actual camera boom's actually going over Mary Elizabeth's body, so we actually have to recover some of her body through paint work as well. This is another example. In this kind of shot, at times it was easier just to replace everything. So we created a CG version of the background. We happened to have a Mary Elizabeth for one shot where she runs down the dock, but we can just put her behind a big old lens flare and she'll hold up. And then we replace Henry and Junior both. This is part of the messy fighting thing. You know, you don't want to have Will Smith on the ground with somebody doing their best to dig their hand into his face. Another shot in the movie, Junior's walking forward, gets shot a couple times by shotgun. So we actually shot this. They decided they didn't like the stunt work. So they asked us if we could clean it up, and we said, no, it's going to be easier to replace the whole thing because of all the interaction with the fire. So then we actually just replaced everything, including even the sprinklers coming down, all of this digital. This is a fun one just because, I don't know, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, it turns out there's a second clone. We call him Junior. Or sorry, we call him Baby. It was Junior too, officially. But the stuntman playing him was not quite the same. So we ended up just removing him completely, putting our full CG dye in so we can put the fire on his chest. And then just have Will Smith perform there. Last shot, just talk to you real quick. We call this one Speed Alley. It's 1.5 minutes long. There's two motorcycles. There's a motorcycle with a stunt performer on it playing the role of Will Smith, and then there's another motorcycle, which you can't see. It's actually where the camera is. It's mounted on the front of a e-bike on a steady, gyro stabilized head, which is amazing because it's, once again, two Alexa MFs or MXs, or whatever they're called, bolt into a stereo rig hanging off the front of an e-bike. The challenge was, it's a very tight little alley that the bikes run through before they go up onto the seawall. We rehearsed it, practiced it, did everything, got it all set up, went there, shot it for half a day, and every time the e-bike went up onto the curb to try to get ahead of the other bike so they could film it, the camera would detect a really big jump. The vibrations would put the head into safety mode, at which point it would just tilt up to the sky to protect the lenses. So we never actually got the second half of the shot correctly. After we finished shooting this, they came back, they regraded that entire area, they made it even smoother, and then we shot just the second half of the shot, but we shot on a different lens so that we actually do a smash zoom to hand over to the second plate. You'll see that we do this big convoluted matte painting construct to sort of hide the scene. At the very end, though, we get really close to our stunt performer, and we realize that it's not Will Smith, so we keep with our digital character at that point. Other things you can see, we're doing just all sorts of things, painting out all the tire marks from the previous tries, sky replacements. Aang really didn't like the performance of the girl on the right, so he had to put a different performance in. Digital cars to make it look like it's dangerous. More skid marks they had to get rid of, and cones where the car was supposed to be. That's a real car. But you have to paint out the visage of the e-bike on the side of the car. So this is our matte painting construct to hand off between the two takes. And at that point, we go to 100% digital Will Smith and bike. We're pretty confident at this point that we can make Will look like Will. So it allows us to not have to try to, it's at that point, if you got a digital construct that works that well, it's actually easier to use it and leverage the strength of it than it is to try to go through and stitch 5 plates together. You